Alrighty, welcome to Unreal. Now, I'm a lot more comfortable in Unity than I am in Unreal, so for some of the things I might not be the most knowledgeable, but I do have a decent idea of what is going on, and applications throughout game engines are usually the same. So today we're going to start by talking about Singleton. In the Unity group, we started talking about mediator and components. That's kind of just how it is in Unreal. You don't have so much of a choice. When you create your character pawn, which actually already exists because I'm in the default one, if I could find it, third person, blueprints, third person, put it here. Right, when we create our character pawn, they already have a whole bunch of components. We're using the component design pattern is built in, and that's kind of one of the big things about Unreal, is everything is just built in. We need to go with Unreal's terms of service, you know? And like in Unity, it's what you want to do, and Unreal, it's what Unreal wants to do. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just if you don't know the rules and you don't follow the rules, you're probably gonna have a hard time. So you see that everything is split up into components. We can add new components, which yes, you can do the same thing in Unity. It's just a lot more rigid in Unreal. It's kind of the gist of it. But let's talk about Singleton, because that is something that comes up just a lot in development in general, is how do we communicate with other files if we don't have access to them? Especially when we're talking about optimization and things to avoid. So when we don't have access to an object, we can't make a singleton, or at least we shouldn't make a singleton, at least not in the same sense that we do in Unity, but instead what we make is a subsystem. I'm going to be showing how we do this in C++. I think it's the only way to do it is in C++. And we're not really going to do blueprints unless it's integration. So we will do a tiny bit just to integrate our subsystem and show you how it works. I want to pull this over though. This is the documentation for our different subsystems. There are 4 types of subsystem: engine, editor, game instance, and local player. If you want to read more about our subsystems, well, then just look up Programming Subsystems Unreal Engine, and this is like one of the very few things, oh my god, that's actually documented. I'm exaggerating, but still, Unreal sucks at their documentation sometimes. So, pretty much what we need to do is we need to start by creating our new C++ file, and we're going to create from all classes a game instance subsystem. A game instance subsystem is alive. Well, the game instance is alive. It's crazy, I know. So we're going to press next, and then we want this to be in the public domain, and then we probably want to put this in like a folder named core. At least that is kind of how I'd assemble this. It's really up to you how you want to do this. All right. Unreal is loading forever. That's just how it is. I think I'm going to get started. Pretty much, we should have a class that looks something like this, where we're inheriting from our UGame instance subsystem. The UGame instance subsystem will automatically allow us to hook into Unreal subsystem feature, which is, well, what is happening? It's very nice. Anyways, we're going to create the initialize function with an override. Then we're going to create the deinitialize function with an override. And then we can create some function that we are responsible for that, we want to do. And we also want to mark these as public so that way we can expose them. Okay, so I don't know, let's make a U function and let's call it blueprint callable. Blueprint callable. Well, there we go. Okay, and then we're gonna have our void, and then I don't know. Let's call it hello world. It's arbitrary. It doesn't matter. The use cases are the same as what we do in Unity, right? It's to convey information to something that just always exists that you can access easily without like a cast or anything. So what we need to do now is just define everything. So we can come in here and generate our definitions. And we can add some debug lines just to actually see that all of these are working. So let's add some debugs. So I can say UE log temp, warning, and then text. And we can say my subsystem is initialized. And then let's move this down here. Deinitialized. Okay. And then I guess it doesn't have to be a warning. It's just to get this stand out is why I chose to do a warning. And then whatever we want this function to do, we'd have it do. So for the sake of just demo, we can say hello world, but we can also do things like making getters. So I could store an int. So I could have a private section, and I can have an int value. Whenever we call the hello world function, let's increase our value by 1. And then in here, we can access, so we could say ufunction, blueprint callable, and let's return our int get value. Okay, generate our function and return our value. Nothing crazy. Okay, we're back. So now I've just opened up literally any blueprint, and I have my subsystem. So you see there it is, game instance subsystems, get my subsystem. And then, well, I can access stuff from it. So I made two functions. I made the get value function, and I made the hello world function. And seriously, it is as easy as this in Unreal. We just need to connect them up. So we say hello world. We can do it twice for the sake of demo. Make sure that our target is our subsystem. And then finally, we can have our get value, which will go into a print line. Oh my god, console log. No, help. Print. Thank you. Jeez. I don't like blueprints that much. Clearly. Clearly. Okay, here we go. So now when I press play, you see it says 2. It's because we said hello world twice, and if I look into my console, you can see subsystem deinitialized hello world, and somewhere up here subsystem initialized. And that is how that works. Now you're probably also wondering, how can I access this through code? It's pretty straightforward. If we had another file, frankly, I feel a little bit lazy to make one, so we're just gonna make one. If we have access to our game instance, then we can get a subsystem of any subsystem valid type. So my gameplay subsystem. Now, we probably need to, firstly, we need to store this, and then we also need to check if it's valid. So we're going to store a pointer to this subsystem. Okay. And then we can end our sentence. We need to check if the subsystem exists. I don't know how to spell. So if there is actually a subsystem, then we can have it do an action, right? And you can do this wherever you need to do it. So we dereference, and we can ask it to say hello world. Now in this case, it's pretty stupid because it's in the same file. But again, this works anywhere. That is how you use subsystems, and we use this instead of singleton in Unreal.